Well, it's great to have all of you with us today for part 2 of a 5-part message series called #Struggles. We're talking about following Jesus in a selfie-centered world. If you missed last week, we talked about the big problem that we have. The more that we compare with others, the less content we are. Next week is honestly part 3 and part 5, I think, are my two favorite messages in this whole series. We're going to talk about authenticity because how is technology changing relationships? How is technology impacting and changing relationships? We know that it's helping in a lot of different ways. There are probably some unintended negative consequences for technology and relationships, and we could talk about literally hundreds of different ways it's changing things, but I want to raise 3 big issues that really will impact our talk today. How is technology changing relationships? The first thing, if you're taking notes, is the term friend is evolving. The term friend is evolving. For example, a friend used to mean somebody that you did life with. We were together doing life. Now, a friend can be somebody that you've never met in person that follows what you say on Facebook. And so the term friend is evolving. For example, the average American Facebook user has 328 Facebook friends. But the average American says they only have 2 close friends, which is down from 6 2 decades ago, and yet 25% of Americans say they have 0 close friends. So the tension is real. You may have 328 Facebook friends, but say you've got no real and close friends, and so we can argue all day long. We've got lots of online interactivity, and yet we may have very limited personal intimacy. The term friend is evolving. The second thing, if you're taking notes, and this is really interesting to me, is that we're becoming addicted to immediate affirmation. We're becoming addicted to immediate affirmation. In other words, if I'm feeling a little bit lonely and I just want a little affirmation, I'm going to just take a selfie real quick here. Hang on, gotta do this, okay. I'm going to do a better one, hang on. Oh yeah. Now, I could immediately, just right now, upload this to Instagram, and if I came back a minute later, I would have some likes. I may even have a comment. Oh, Pastor Craig, you look so good. Like that shirt, where'd you get that? You know, you're rocking a new hairstyle, or whatever someone might say. I could get some immediate feedback. And what's happening is we're becoming addicted to this immediate feedback. In fact, scientists will tell you that it releases a chemical in our brain called dopamine, and we are becoming so addicted to that. What did they say? Did they like it? Who liked it? How many people liked it? Why didn't she like it? She never likes my pictures. I'm not going to like hers anymore. And we are addicted to this immediate feedback, okay? And what this is doing is it is meeting a short-term need, but we are deferring a longer-term and deeper need. In fact, sociologists now have phrased what they call deferred loneliness. We feel lonely, so we post something. We say something, we get immediate feedback, and it meets a short-term need, but we are deferring a longing for intimacy into the future, and the loneliness we feel, we are deferring to another time. We are living for likes, and we're longing for love. We're
people who are not really steeped in the ways of culinary breakthroughs. culinary breakthroughs would look at this and see a design flaw. But in fact, that's not the case at all. Because this spoon-like ladle contraption
hooked on this instant gratification, and it's changing the way we do relationships. How is technology changing relationships? The term friend is evolving. We're becoming addicted to immediate affirmation. And number three, perhaps most important, is we have the power to do friendship on our own terms. We now have the power to do friendship on our own terms. In other words, if Richard texts me, I have the choice to read his text, respond to it, not respond to it, get to it later. I am in control of what I do or not do, how I respond to his text. If Sam posts a picture on Instagram, I have the power to determine, is it like-worthy or not? Is it worth a double tap of my fingers? Or do I scroll right on by another stupid cat picture that I'm so sick of him posting all day long? In fact, if he posts another cat picture, I may just unfollow him, because I am total and complete control of this friendship. I manage it from a distance. I will show you what part of me I want you to see. I will tell you what I want to tell you, and if I don't want to respond, I'm not going to respond. And if you post too many pictures of your product or too many duck-face selfies, I will unfollow you, because I am in control of this friendship. Suddenly we wake up and the terms of friendship have started to change. What's really interesting to me is I meet a couple times a year with some of the best of the young leaders from our church. And I always do this. One, I want to invest in the next generation. Two, quite honestly, I just want to learn from them. What are you thinking? What's it like to follow Jesus as a 22-year-old or an 18-year-old or whatever? And the last time I met with them, we talked for a long time about social media and relationships. And one person said this, I wrote it down. He said, the more I use social media, the more I crave personal interaction. And I asked the group, is this true for you? And they're like, absolutely. Everybody there said it's true. And then another person said, I feel more connected than ever before, and yet I feel more alone. Again, I asked them, do you find this to be true? Yes. And there was almost like this out of control. All I know to do is go click, 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 scroll, scroll, click, 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 scroll, scroll, scroll. And I'm wanting something more, but I don't have the discipline to stop this, to engage in what I know I really want, and I don't know how to get from here to there. I want to talk today about how do we get from here to there. And I want to start with Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25. The author of Hebrews said this. He said, let us think of ways, I love this, to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. Wouldn't it be amazing to get together with other followers of Jesus and say, hey, how can we be so aggressive in the way we show love that people are like, hey, they must be a Christian. Have you seen the way they love one another? He goes on to say this, and let us not neglect our commenting on one another's posts. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I totally messed that up. He said, and let us not neglect our what? Say it with me. He said, and let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another as the day draws near. Let us not neglect our meeting together. Some of us need to rediscover the power of practicing presence, of being together with other people. In fact, Jesus said this. He said, wherever two or three gather together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. But this is not just something you type on. What else can you do? You can also talk on it, right? And so if you look in your context, you can speed dial someone, and guess what? You can talk to them and ask them, hey, how are you doing? And you can listen to the tone in their voice. And you can not just pray for them, but you can pray with them over the phone. And then you can ask them some questions, and the conversation, I promise you, can go places that it will not go on text when you hear tone of voice and you invest that kind of time with them. And let's just get crazy and say you're really going to take it up a level. We don't just text, we don't just call, but what's another thing we could do to show love? We could go see them, right? We could get in our car, we get on our scooter, get on our moped, go across town, whatever the case would be, and we could sit down with them. When you're in a gated community, we live to keep people out. maybe you'll be more like Christ and you'll let people in. You'll invite them into your home and you'll make dinner for them. And if you can't, you'll order takeout, but you'll sit across a table with someone, and there is something holy about breaking bread together with other people. It might be you invest in someone who's younger. It might be you invite someone that you know nobody's going to invite. Some of you right now, you're longing for something more spiritually, and I just need to tell you what you're missing. You are missing the joy and the blessing of Christian community, of opening up God's Word with other people and doing life together and encouraging one another. And does it get messy? Heck yes, it gets messy. It does. You can control it and keep it clean from a distance, but the risk is worth the reward when you open up your hearts. We call it a life group, when we do life together, because life is better together. You have seen this, and probably all of you have done it. Go to a restaurant today, look around, and you will see a family of 4 or 5 all sitting there for a nice meal together. And what are they doing? All of them. Okay? The older ones are doing this. The younger ones are doing this. Right? That's what they're doing. They're all doing it. And you've been there before. I've seen it at my house. My teenage daughters, they invite their friends over, and they're so excited. And all these teenage girls sit around on the sofa, and what do? Oh, they do this. They're alone together. That's what they do. And it's parents, moms, you've done this. Your kid's begging for your attention. Mama, look at my drawing. Mama, you're busy. What are you doing? You're searching on Pinterest for mermaid yoga for beginners, thinking this is going to change your life, and they are begging for your attention to be engaged. Think about how incredibly rude it would be if we're out having coffee and we're engaged in a conversation and you're pouring your heart out to me, and I reach into my backpack and I pull out a book. Go to my place, I'm on page 32, and I read 2 pages of my book. Here's the problem. Every time this thing buzzes, whistles, chirps, beeps, there's something in me that's going, who said something? What is it? What do I need to know? In fact, there's a new word that just hit the dictionary called FOMO, F-O-M-O, and it stands for fear of missing out. And there's a generation that are there's, what am I going to miss? What am I going to miss? What am I going to miss? I might miss someone's funny cat picture. I might miss someone saying, oh girl, you look so gorge, which doesn't mean fat, it means gorgeous. It's just this is hashtag cool lingo. Okay, I may miss someone liking my picture. Did they like it? Did they like it? Listen to me, at the end of your life, it's not going to matter how many likes you got. Listen to me, at the end of your life, you're not going to be sitting around going, if I'd only gotten 3 more, I would have had a clean 100 that time. If I had 100 triple-digit likes, oh, life would be so good. It is not going to matter how many likes you got, but it's all going to be about how much love you showed. They're going to know that you are followers of Jesus by the way you love one another. Your children are begging for your attention. Parents, they're begging for your attention. They're acting out trying to get your attention. And some of you are going to say, they're doing the same thing. Yes, maybe they are, but it's your job as parents to engage them in such a life where there is something more meaningful than looking at a screen and clicking on a picture and engaging in real life. Fear of missing out, fear of missing out, fear of missing out. Let me tell you what, you may miss out on what someone says here, but what you really should be afraid of is missing out on the person in front of you. That's what you're missing out on. You're missing out, some of you, on your children growing up. They're right there, but you get your face in a screen. You should really be afraid of missing out on what matters most. So I don't know how you apply this.
I have 422 friends, yet I'm lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me. The problem I have sits in the spaces between looking into their eyes or at a name on a screen. I took a step back and opened my eyes. I looked around and realised that this media we call social is anything but when we open our computers and it's our doors we shut. All this technology we have, it's just an illusion. Community, companionship, a sense of inclusion. Yet when you step away from this device of delusion, you awaken to see a world of confusion. A world where we're slaves to the technology we mastered, where information gets sold by some rich, greedy bastard. A world of self-interest, self-image, self-promotion, where we all share our best bits but leave out the emotion. We're at our most happy with an experience we share, But is it the same if no one is there? Be there for your friends, and they'll be there too, but no one will be if a group message will do. We edit and exaggerate, crave adulation. We pretend not to notice the social isolation. We put our words into order until our lives are glistening. We don't even know if anyone is listening. Being alone isn't the problem. Let me just emphasise, if you read a book, paint a picture, or do some exercise, you're being productive and present, not reserved and recluse. You're being awake and attentive and putting your time to good use. So when you're in public and you start to feel alone, put your hands behind your head, step away from the phone. You don't need to stare at your menu or at your contact list. Just talk to one another. Learn to coexist. I can't stand to hear the silence of a busy commuter train where no one wants to talk through the fear of looking insane. We're becoming unsocial. It no longer satisfies to engage with one another and look into someone's eyes. We're surrounded by children who, since they were born, have watched us living like robots and think it's the norm. It's not very likely you'll make world's greatest dad if you can't entertain a child without using an iPad. When I was a child, I'd never be home. Be out with my friends on our bikes, we would roam. I'd wear holes in my trainers and graze up my knees. We'd build our own clubhouse high up in the trees. Now the park's so quiet it gives me a chill. See no children outside and the swings hanging still. There's no skipping, no hopscotch, no church and no steeple. We're a generation of idiots, smartphones and dumb people. So look up from your phone, shut down that display. Take in your surroundings, make the most of today. Just one real connection is all it can take to show you the difference that being there can make. Be there in the moment that she gives you the look that you remember forever as when love overtook. The time she first holds your hand or first kiss your lips. The time you first disagree but still love her to bits. The time you don't have to tell hundreds of what you've just done because you want to share this moment with just this one. The time you'll sell your computer so you can buy a ring for the girl of your dreams who is now the real thing. The time you want to start a family, and the moment when you first hold your little girl and get to fall in love again. The time she keeps you up at night and all you want is rest, and the time you wipe away the tears as your baby flees the nest. The time your baby girl returns with a boy for you to hold, and the time he calls you granddad and makes you feel real old. The time you take in all you've made just by giving life attention, and how you're glad you didn't waste it by looking down at some invention. The time you hold your wife's hand, sit down beside her bed, you tell her that you love her, lay a kiss upon her head. She then whispers to you quietly, as her heart gives a final beat, that she's lucky she got stopped by that lost boy in the street. But none of these times ever happened. You never had any of this. When you're too busy looking down, you don't see the chances you miss. So look up from your phone, shut down those displays. We have a finite existence, a set number of days. Don't waste your life getting caught in the net, as when the end comes, nothing's worse than regret. I am guilty too of being part of this machine, this digital world we are heard but not seen, where we type as we talk and we read as we chat, where we spend hours together without making eye contact. So don't give in to a life where you follow the hype. Give people your love, don't give them your like. Disconnect from the need to be heard and defined. Go out into the world, leave distractions behind. Look up from your phone, shut down that display. Stop watching this video, live life the real way.
Kind of the heart behind this message, if you think about it, is this. The more filtered our lives become, the more we show others the me we want them to see, the more difficult it is to be authentic. Culturally, we're becoming so trained to filtering the picture and then editing perfectly the caption, because the caption matters. You got to have the right hashtag, and it's got to be clever but not too clever, and it's got to be right but not looking like you're trying too hard. And we edit that perfectly, we filter it, and we send it out there so that the rest of the world can affirm us and like who we are showing them that we are. Last week we talked about 3 different technology changing relationships. Write this down. People are starting to fear and avoid unfiltered communication. They're starting to fear and avoid unfiltered communication. For example, we are so used to being able to edit what we say and filter what we show that if we don't have that luxury, a lot of people are very nervous in talking. In fact, the reality is there are a lot of people, and you'll know this is true, that are creating online personalities. Look at who I am. That in reality is very different than the true person that they are. They're showing you a fake self, trying to get you to believe that's who they really are. And if we take it a level deeper than that, we see people are now very afraid, a whole younger generation, many are uncomfortable in a conversation that they cannot control. For example, this is very normal now. I met with a bunch of young adults from our church, and they all agreed they'll do this, that whenever the phone rings, back when we were growing up, people my age, we actually didn't know who was on the other side. And to find out who was on the other side, you actually had to pick up the call. And then you had to talk, and you didn't know what was going to be said or what they might ask. And so we learned how to have unfiltered communication. Today, you have the luxury, the blessing, or the curse of being able to what? A phone call comes in, send it to voicemail. Then what a lot of people do is they listen to the voicemail, and then how do you respond? You respond with a what? With a text, because you stay in control. You don't have to talk and not know where the conversation is going. In fact, I asked this same young group of students that I was meeting with from our church, how else does this impact you? And one girl said, I'm so nervous to talk on the phone that what I'll do is I'll script out what I'm going to say before I call somebody. And so I just asked curiously, what type of phone conversation would you script? And she said, like if I'm calling to order a pizza, I'm going to write down how I'm going to say hello and what I'm going to say because I'm that nervous. Now, don't be shocked, because this is very, very normal with a generation that hasn't been exposed to learning how to communicate in an unfiltered way. I asked the group, about 25 students, so how many of you would actually script down a phone call for something like ordering a pizza? And about 75% of them raised their hands, because what we have now is a group of people so used to being in control of the conversation that to be out of control is actually unsettling for a lot of people. My kids
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวัน ราะสิ่งที่เขาได้ คือได้แค่ความรู้สึก ได้เห็นความสุข ได้เข้าใจ ได้ความรัก ได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิม ในชีวิตคุณ อะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด